All right. Welcome to my favorites from May 24th through May 30th. These are the ones that went over to friends, family, and clients via text. And I like to share them on my blog. So kind of go through them and give you some insight on my thoughts and whatnot. So we'll start out with I wondered this last year, and there's got to be somebody with an answer who knows more about birds than me. That's a lot of people. This is typically what you see as far as a tern diving to prey on fish. But whenever, not whenever, I noticed this last year, and then I noticed it again this year. When the black skimmers come around, I think I noticed this behavior from the terns more often, where they're dragging their beak. And I'm not sure if it's because I'm noticing it more because the black skimmers are in town, or if this is some sort of like semi-learned behavior, or if this is just totally common and I'm messing it up. Any of which are 100% viable. But just something kind of interesting. I don't normally see this enough that it stood out, so I'll have to like send myself an email to send me in like 6 months or whatever to, hey, are you still seeing this? When the skimmers are gone for the summer. But I find it interesting. Then a lot of bird photos, a lot of La Jolla this past week. Didn't get too much out on the boats. There was some storms coming through and I had some other stuff going on. So been working with, I've been working with contrast and talking about contrast an awful lot. This shot, the contrast in this shot is that there's not a lot of contrast in this shot. So there's actually an inversion to me where it's super interesting with real heavy contrast, or it's super interesting where it's kind of muddled. This was a gray day, so it was really windy. And so I was able to kind of sit on a ledge on the walkway, and the wind would kick up and the birds would slow drastically down right kind of in eye level. So it gave a little different viewpoint for some of these shots. Like I said, this one is a good example of kind of eye level. It laid out well with some of the gray coloration and the water, the breaking waves, Point La Jolla, some of the details here along the bird. Literally, it feels like you can reach out and touch it, because basically you could reach out and touch it. These were actually shot with a shorter lens that I don't get it out of the pack as much as I should, but it's a faster lens, and it's a 70 to 200. So this was shot at right about 72 is what I'm showing. So again, feels like you could reach out and touch it, because you could probably reach out and touch it. Similar shot, trying to use the ocean as a background delineator. Kind of fun just being at the level of the bird. So often you're above or below them. Grabbed a couple shots. It's been a real busy few mornings. There's been a ton of pelicans around. The cormorants are still around. You can see a bunch of gulls. More and more sea lions are coming in as they get closer to their pupping season here, kind of now through late June. But I thought that I'd grab a couple images that really kind of spoke to the quantity of animals that we're seeing. So right here, some of these sea lions a little further down started moving towards the water, which knocked the birds up into the air. It just sort of becomes a whole process as the birds start, fluttering around. Then more sea lions are looking around to see, what's going on. So they start moving. So it goes from real busy to pretty empty kind of quick. Here's another shot, kind of similar thing, just moved down a little bit. This big guy was actually in the other shot. The big male was in the other shot. This one gives you a little bit more. It's still, you can tell the quantity of animals, and there's, this bundle of them in the air. There's a group of them standing here. There's the sea lions, but you get a little bit more kind of that blue ocean and a little bit more of the rock. This photo is probably a little bit calmer. Both of these photos, and there's one later, I told people when I texted them, if you look at these on your phone, they're kind of busy, but when you get them up, like I'm looking at it on a TV, it's a much more relaxing shot at size. So I think when this one will probably go on my website, I might not even offer it in little sizes just because it's so busy. It might be more of a bigger print only, but I'm not sure because I say that and then somebody will want a small one and I'll absolutely do it. Another look at the eye level, trying to capitalize on the details on the subject while the background and the foreground are sort of well, there's no real foreground in this shot. The background, the depth of field is blurred out. Another look, just there's so many seagulls. I'm sorry, there's so many brown pelicans recently here. There's a lot of seagulls in this shot too, which is maybe why I said that. Who knows? But it's trying to get the idea of how much motion is really going on here, and you know it's loud, and there's a lot of things that are, you know, it's an interesting moment because a lot of times of the year, Point La Jolla is very, very not empty, but it's certainly not populated like this. A few surfing sea lions. This is actually one of the shots that really got me coming down to La Jolla a lot, was when I first started coming down. I enjoy capturing, you know, fast shutter water motion details. I enjoy the, you know, the fine details here in the whiskers, the name I can't recall, and I'll never pronounce it right undoubtedly, but I know there's a special word, I just don't know what it is. These were actually shot sitting on the stairs in the cove, and a couple sea lions were surfing pretty much all the way up onto the beach, so I was able to get, you know, really close detail shots, again kind of almost eye to eye, without being in their way or being where they're gonna react to me, which gives you a much different thing. This one, you kind of got the spray coming down aligned with the head. I'm not sure which of these is my real true favorite. This one I found relaxing. It's not my favorite, but it's just something about the little bit of water motion and yeah, a little bit of water stuck to its chin. This one I did like. It's in focus on the male sea lion, kind of its face. It got some pretty decent focus on the splash of water as well. And then you've got the foreground and the background, you know, kind of the depth of field is gone on that one. This shot, because of the way it lines up and frames this sea lion, I think, you know, cropped in a little bit on this is probably a pretty good shot as far as, you know, motion, as far as, you know, moving your eye through a composition, telling a story. Wish I could say that I planned it, but I was there and I had the camera aimed, so I'll take some credit. A couple more, the more and more videos I do, the more I just stop on all these things. When I first started sending photos, I was sending a much wider range of photos. At this point, I think I'm sending all pretty dialed in photos. This is two sea lions who are being engulfed by the water right as it comes up, running up the shore. Again, you know, this particular day, I seem to be obsessed with getting the whiskers. You can see them on the second sea lion kind of in that spray. And then in the next shot, I sort of like this shot better, just because there's only one sea lion. The other sea lion's pushed back in the water. But you can see the whiskers if you look real close. You can see the nose and the snout. You can see its flipper. The water's got a great shape. You've got the spray and the splash, but you've also got this block of water that's been knocked up and over the sea lion. Water's great for photos, in my opinion, because the hydraulic nature of it doesn't allow it to compress, so it takes all these fun, crazy shapes to look at. This is a close-up of the first little guy that I've seen that hopefully has a chance. I've seen a lot that didn't make it this year. It's going to be a hard year. Here's mom and the little guy, nose to nose. Smell is super, super important to these guys. Obviously, the mom has to go eat and come back and be able to find her own pup amongst a ton of, pups and sea lions. So that smell is critical. And that's why there's so many abandonments if people get involved and touch them or mess with that smell or scare mom away or whatever. This one is on the point, which is closed down, and these guys, I believe last year, the ones that were born on the point or stayed on the point when they were small were 8 times less likely to need intervention or to be abandoned or to have mortality. So hopefully this one makes it through the next few days and then should be good to go. Another morning in La Jolla. This is more of that practical effect of using the rising sun to hit the bird while the cliff in the background is still, not really illuminated, and it gives kind of a studio feel to some of these shots. It's funny, on my phone, these shots, the background is absolutely just black. Maybe you can see the sand in this one, but the background will be black. On my TV and on my computer, you can see some details in the wall. So it's intriguing where how they look on different data sets, I guess. This one, this one's strange because on my monitor I can see some background. On my TV I can see none, and on my phone I can see none. You can see the water and then just this bird kind of out in there. And this is done. There's a little bit done in Lightroom, a little bit in post, but I'm not shading out the background or anything. It's all a practical effect of waiting till that bird drops into that range and then shooting it. I am stepping up the shutter speed and getting the ISO down and allowing, not underexposing it, but not allowing all the light in order to capitalize on that. And this shot versus a shot where you've got the background just sort of there, this is 100% more memorable and it sticks with you more. This next one, early morning, very first light coming through, some different stuff, some sea lions, and again just kind of trying to show the quantity of things around right now. Coloring looks weird on my TV. More of that practical effect of getting the bird to step out of the image while the background fades in. This one was popular. Similar concept, but this one, I've been trying to get some more motion. Ideally, I'd love to get one where they shake with in front of that black background, but I've spent a chunk of time there in the morning trying to get that shot. Haven't fully pulled it off yet, but this one, with the feet down, slowing down to land, it was pretty popular. I think this is the last one for this week. This shot I really liked. Again, it speaks to the quantity of animals on the point right now. In the morning, first light. During the day, I'm not sure I'd get out of there because it gets a little too people-y for me, and I don't need to be around people doing ridiculous things. But before everything takes off and tries to go hunt, it's just a lot of wildlife there right now. So I thought this was an interesting shot in terms of, really making the subject this one single pelican that is in focus in the depth of field. There's some other birds that are also in focus up on this ridge, but they're pretty anonymous. They're kind of cormorants. They've got their heads down, either sleeping or doing their thing. And then the depth of field muddies out as we head out through the point, but you can still see, the individuals in mass, a little bit of water in the background. I think I liked this one more than a lot of people that I sent it to, but I did like it. So I'm not sure if this one will end up in my office or not. it would probably have to be a big print, so it probably won't, but it might. So anyway, if you're on my site and you want to know about any of the settings for these different shots early in the morning and what I'm doing, all the photo settings are below the photos. If you're on a video hosting site, go ahead and I link to my site below. Jump over onto my site, take a look, and there'll be a blog write-up with them. I am super stoked that you take the time to click through this with me, and I look forward to doing it again next week.